Surprise! What up, ladies and gentlemen? Gentlemen. Damn, how did y'all get in here before I even went live? What's up, Freeman? Freeman? That's what I want to know. How did you get in here before I went live? How? Explain that to me. What's poppin', G? Dang, I hate you, Google. I ain't seen you in a minute. What up? What's cracking, family? Chloe Hotline gave me a tip. That's great. We are all feds. Welcome to the internet. I thought you were going to say the Tac Talk hotline gave you a tip, but just the tip. I know. All right, let's let a few folks get in here. Let's begin the dialogue. I need to plug all my shit up. Gerchip. Man, I was gonna have a guest on tonight, but he's unavailable. Yo, the delay is crazy on my end, man. Dang, we already got 6 thumbs up in the first minute, man. Y'all are awesome. That's what's up. So usually I don't look at that stuff. Hey, did y'all see the last thumbnail I put on the live stream, or last live stream, was the I don't know if y'all are familiar with Flannel Father. Yeah, we're still waiting on that response back. It's funny because he was like, "Hell yeah, man! I'll absolutely do it, 100%. I just got to get through this move, and I got you." Well, that was a month ago, so we'll see. We'll see. We do have a few dope ass guests for the future, though. We're just waiting on organizing some shit. What's cracking, your chip? I was going through some stuff, and I was like, I should get rid of this, give this away, trash this, and then I found a wreath hanger. Right, you hang it over your door, hang a wreath on it, and I was like, this could be used for something. I'm not sure exactly what it could be used for, but I think it can come in use for something. Probably not, Rich. For a few reasons that I was unaware of, but apparently, yeah. Apparently, there was Gerchop. There were a couple that were on the East Coast, and that's all he shared with me. I didn't know the names, but none of the ships that you mentioned, light was on. So, I'm sorry. If you served with a man named Light, then he must have been much lighter than this individual. Whew, excuse me. I got this like eerie feeling, man. Just like the climate, the temperature of everything. How are y'all feeling with everything going on the way that it is? Like, how are you guys feeling? What are you thinking? Where's your head at? And don't worry, we'll get to some great conversations tonight. I'm just kind of curious. Just with everything going on, what seems to be the last few things we discussed about like the last month. You know, it's a crazy world out there. Poop emoji on these feelings. Thumbnail game strong as usual. I see. Oh, that's what I was gonna. That's right. Um, Thank you, Bacon, for the 223. You don't got to super chat me every time you come in here. I mean, I appreciate it. I am grateful for you, brother. Um, well, so Walter, that's who I was planning on having on tonight, but he went ghost. He's in a very remote location with not much service at all, and oh, actually, and he just responded. Hold on for 1 second. Funny how this works. Walty, thank you for saying that. Because you said Lord Beer, I just checked my notifications and saw he was like, send the link. All right, hang tight for 1 sec. Do, 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 do. No, 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 no. Hold up. All right. You guys want to get your boy Sigma back in here? Dang, I'm sore, man. I did a bunch of stuff that was like way out of my comfort level. I did the work of an electrician today. I did the work of contractor today, and I'm not that tight. So he said, "Okay, I'm gonna put a sweater on." Oh yeah, make them so small. We shoot them out of a sweater. All right, hold up. Where they get though? Give me the lube. Dark is going live. That's great. Okay, so if people keep going along with the plan, the next round of COVID will be crazy. That's what I'm waiting for. And some more mass shootings. Yeah, I agree. This whole COVID 21 thing is right around the corner. And a while back, some dogs died of Black Plague in Colorado, I think it was. And now the Black Plague, like that's nothing. That's bacterial. As long as it doesn't get like, well, let me say it differently. Um, as long as you have antibiotics, um, fuck, that reminds me. I'm actually taking antibiotics right now. God damn it. Hold on for 1 second. Fuck it, I'll get it later. Yeah, man. Walter, thank you, brother, with the 223. Chat him last night. He was looking forward to it. Yeah, man. I'm pumped. Like Sigma is like the Dugan replacement. He's he's like wizard level, like researcher. Like this dude is Legitness. Yeah, and feeling like a frog in boiling water, man. I feel like we've literally been at 211 degrees for years now. Years, guys. So it's just like that. What is that one thing that I know you're right. Yeah, it's not a true replacement. Um, by the way, Loki, bro, this is sitting here for you, waiting for you, if you so desire. Or you know what? If you don't feel comfortable sharing an address to send it to, then you can nominate someone else. Okay, it's 3D printed. A guy that I bought the Glock magazines, the 3D printed Glock magazines from. Just threw it in because I overpaid for because he was hooking me up. Yeah, man, you're welcome. Um, you can nominate someone else if someone else wants it, because you did get the question right, or not. It's cool too because I'll throw it on my ultralight joint. All right, Sigma, where you at? Oh snap, bro. Okay, that is trippy. Bro, what in the ever living goodness is this?
Well, I needed something to stand in for my ugly face.
Dude, that is trippy. Um, I cannot stop staring at it. I'm fascinated by it. So, how's it going, man?
It's good. Were you live?
Yeah, we are already live.
Cool.
I've been live for 12 minutes, and I was like, yeah, it's probably going to be a dark stream, just because I didn't go back and check my Discord where you said yes,
Uh,
in the link.
well, I knew something had to be wrong if you're having me on. I'm part of I guess, the D team. The
The D team.
D
No,
team.
man, you. Every time you're on, you provide some level of value
Well,
to.
I have something to share. I was going to have an industrial engineer chat with us tonight, and I might still, if people want. Um, see, oh wow, I can see comments now. Good. Um, yeah, nobody's trying to replace Dugan, that's for sure. So I've
No,
got
no,
a.
I was
What was the
playing.
topic you were hoping to cover tonight? Let's see if I don't want to deviate from what's already been discussed.
No, no. Honestly, man, this is like most times, like when I get in here and just click go live,
Yeah.
the chat carries the conversation unless we have specific topics that we want to hit. And
Okay.
tonight I don't have anything too specific that I want to hit on.
Uh,
Recently we hit on like the shootings and just how odd it was that
well, the timing alone suspicious. I think
very.
I wouldn't go all in as far as putting your weight saying, well, they're fake, but I would think that, a healthy amount of skepticism. If I was going to sit and chat with normies, I'd sit there and I'd say, hey, look, isn't it strange? We've had a drought of mass shootings during Trump's time. They had to take that production team to New Zealand to do that little thing down there.
Yeah.
And, it's like they couldn't hang here, and I really think that the reason they're able to maintain their operational security is the people that may be faking some of these shootings are ideologically motivated. They're able to rationalize this type of deception and they feel that they're doing something righteous. And that is the tragedy of that. And I'm not going to say all of them are fake. Like, I think, after looking at Wolfgang Halbig's work on Sandy Hook, that's where I think a lot of people broke with Alex Jones. And
Yeah.
Alex Jones, to his defense, he had a custody battle with his wife, and he's a very exposed person. I was chatting with a fella that knows Tucker Carlson, and said, they do a pre-show brief where the guy's a lot more right wing than you realize. It's just you can't paint outside the lines, otherwise they'll pull the plug on his ass. He already had to move his family once, and the reason that the Democrats are so deliberate at covering the tracks of Antifa is Antifa is the new Ku Klux Klan. And
Bro, Sigma, I'm sorry. I got a little family thing. Give me 30 seconds. You keep all these
I'll
ladies
just
in occupied.
look at the chat.
Hell
So you
yeah.
guys think I need to stick on this little line I'm
And
on, boys?
just really quickly,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily believe that the recent incidents are completely synthesized.
I'm not saying that either. I'm saying that we should be maintain a healthy amount of skepticism at this point.
Agreed. And I don't mean to put words in your mouth. I guess what I mean is that things can happen, and incidents can occur, and people can be hurt, injured, murdered, and it still be a charade. And yeah, hang tight. I'll be right back.
All right.
I love you.
That's I think what Biden was whispering in this one's ear.
Yo.
I'm reading these comments. Sup, King? Some digging the vibe. So, when do you guys pick something to talk about, and I'll follow. I'm tired of caterwauling on about how we figure some of these shootings ain't exactly as presented. One of my buddies just mentioned to me, he says that, and I'll quote him here, said, ammunition has been out of stock with the 3 largest ammunition distributors in the U.S. for over a year. How are these shooters getting ammo? Well, I'd answer that with probably, I've been able to buy ammo in person at gun stores, so it still can be had if you really want it. You're going to spend some money to get it, but you can get it. What, Michael Moore? You don't like the pictures, eh? I like my pictures. I'm trying to keep them somewhat calm. Oh yeah, the kid. Yeah, they justified calling him white. Twitter wouldn't fact check people that called him white. They were like, he's white technically. So it is what it is. They're definitely willing to push that line of perception. Here, I'll put up a Thomas Sowell quote. I kind of like this one. Let me bring it into frame. I'll read it. It says, American black culture celebrates and encourages violence, materialism, and hypersexuality, and the demands that American whites take responsibility for all 3. And that's just an interesting quote. He's not white enough. Well, you saw what they did with the QAnon bomber out in that wonderful county that's not suspicious at all, Broward County, where CNN appeared to bleach the man as much as they possibly could. I imagine he is, Michael. Most of them are. And there's some major fissures erupting inside of the established political parties I chat with. Because, yeah, it's Masad County. I could agree with that. They're so loudmouthed about it. If you've ever trained down there, with the private sector guys. They're just constantly jabbing about how Mossad's clicked up with them. I shit you not. And they're proud of it. So, it's pretty goddamn obvious. You know, it's pretty bad when you go to dinner with a congressional candidate and half the people at the place got, Hebrew tattoos on their arms. And you're like, well, this is pretty goddamn obvious which way you're leaning. You only stay quiet for so long. Well, I mean, at least we know which way the wind's blowing with them, Michael.
Nothing like being loud and proud.
Loud and proud Zogbot. Yeah. I was actually looking up the origins of Zog, the term itself, and there were some kind of militias that ran around in the 80s that used it to talk about a Zionist-occupied government, and the feds had swooped in, infiltrated them. I think there was one in Arkansas. It's very, it was their leadership were prosecuted for RICO violations, racketeering, because they were financing their activities with, criminal. Oh, what? This is too much. I have to say, I was talking to some beaners from California, and they, all Trump voters. I'm going to read you a story. I bet you'll get a kick out of this. Well, it's depressing as fuck, actually.
Let's say maybe like South Americans, maybe, or
look, I don't hate them, and I just need a word to describe them. We got Polacks, we got Wops, we got Wasps.
Dude, we're gonna get nude.
Well, all right. Well, hell, Intel's developed a processor that'll be auto filtering me pretty soon. I mean,
really?
Hell, maybe it'll give me like a little burst of high frequency blinking lights, give me a little seizure, aneurysm, modify my brain directly.
Still North America.
But I mean them no offense. I got my way of speaking, and I'm sorry about damage you do to your channel. Hey, here.
I don't care. I just.
You want to talk about starting a fire? Let me read you a little bit of this. This is a written account from an acquaintance of mine, a young woman from Southern California, right? And she's still in high school. I met her in one of these chats that are so frequently populated. And so I'm gonna read verbatim for what she wrote me tonight. Because I asked her to write about it, because she had a lot of her friends committing suicide due to the fact they're all involuntarily being transitioned to the opposite sex. These are children that are being transitioned by their parents against their will, and they're killing themselves. So just stop me if it gets,
well, I mean, and just to throw this out there, like the average percentage is like of suicide is like almost 50% anyway. Damn it. Hold on. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a high percentage. A lot of them, if they actually get the operation, it's a lot of them are oxycodones, pain suppressants. Anyway, so I'm going to read this verbatim. This is an account this young individual sent me. In the time of 9 years, a total of 23 of my friends died due to suicide. I am 15 years old, and I live in Southern California. I have seen a deep trend of my friends being forced to transition by their parents. This document will tell you of all 23 children who have died because of this god-awful trend. November 2012. This year, I was in the second grade. 3 of my friends' parents had forced their children to transition. 2 were biologically male, and 1 was biologically female. Their parents told the school their new names, their preferred, quote unquote, pronouns, and which bathroom to use. After 2 boys were told they would not be put on puberty blockers by their parents, they started expressing emotions that were not normal for children at this age. They felt extremely anxious, their grades dropped, and had excessive hair loss. Aside from these, their parents had stopped letting them participate in things like gym classes and other sports requiring strength so that they could have a more feminine body. After these two boys were taken out of sports and did not do physical activity, they were expressing more than just stress and anxiety. They felt lethargic and suicidal. As for the girl, she started cutting and had mental breakdowns each day. When the school day ended, when the school day ended, she wanted to stay in school, not because she liked learning, but in fear of her parents. I was never at her house to see her living conditions, but I was told by some of her other friends that she had shared a room with her parents and her younger siblings all had their own bedrooms. So this child was forced to stay with the parents. She would come to school with scars, new and old, peeking from her ankles and thighs and arms. And she had tried suicide once before, but it didn't work. Physically, she was taking puberty blockers and had a buzz cut throughout her time still living. Like the two boys, no one would listen. Her situation of emotions and school performance and such were much like the two boys. January 2013. This time they were expressing a lot of depression. They talked about suicide daily. The two boys and the girl formed a suicide pact at the end of January. They told their own parents and school faculty about these feelings, but were shunned away and were not listened to. Before I could witness their absence in life, I was taken out of the school by my mother. I had told her what had been happening and decided that she did not want me to be influenced by these people. On Sunday, January 29th, three of them had committed suicide when their parents went to one of the kids' houses to talk of their transitioning. Anyway, that was the first account of 23 different fatalities that were suicides, not including the parents that also killed themselves at different points. I have a fairly lengthy document, say about 4,000 words here. I just read the first 3 paragraphs of it, and it's a harrowing document. And I was, you know, this is what you're seeing a lot of. Like you get out in the chats, you game with people, and you get to know them. I mean, pretty soon you've got just a endless montage of horror. And God, I know I normally don't talk as much. Usually I've got Dugan or you or and Dark and Light, both of you with us, and y'all are able to take the edge off. And I usually don't speak very much, but yeah.
Well,
Anyway,
I
I
love
don't know if you heard all that.
I love hearing you speak. Number one, number two. I caught the end of it, and it sounds like that girl was recounting her perspective of watching these people deteriorate psychologically and commit suicide.
Well, and
From their
Bacon said this, and I stopped because the goddamn Bacon. If I continued down this document, it's one of the most sad things I've ever read. It's awful. And one thing that strikes me is and I had talked to the woman that wrote me this at length, and she said that the predominant ethnic makeup, she's Salvadorian. Her people are from El Salvador, both of them, and both her parents are felons, but they seem like all right folk because they didn't let her daughter transition to some crazy shit. But anyway, the parents that are doing this forcibly to their children are mostly white, non-Hispanics. So they seem to be positively affected by propaganda, and their children are sort of the conduit through which their narcissism is expressed. So in times past, perhaps when we were children, in the 90s, we would have seen this type of narcissism expressed in some types of athletic achievement. The father, the stereotype is him vicariously experiencing the glories of his child, that type of thing. And now we've got this insanity. And you're right, GKT11 propaganda is legal, and it shouldn't be, because I believe it was one of the NDAs might have authorized them to use military grade propaganda on us. And yeah, Spent Modernization Act. Yeah, I remember reading about that. And I think that's also when we had a spike in our school shootings. And it's very interesting that we've had so many since that happened. And I I'm normally more collected in this, but I have to say the weight of the horrific document I've been given. I got given this about an hour before I came on to talk to you, and I had skimmed it. I hadn't actually read it verbatim, because it was too horrible to really pay attention to. Because I read through it and I'm just like, this is sick. And I think that what has gripped the country is cowardice, and and I think that people are very selfish. They're very cowardly. Everybody's covering their ass,
Well,
and
because
we're
imagine
stuck between cowards and narcissists.
if the goal that you want to achieve with the country, if you cannot legislate your way there, then the only way for you to get there is through society enforcing it. He probably just accidentally did the same thing that I did. What I'm saying is that
I disconnect myself accidentally.
we all do it. What I'm saying is that if the goal that they have is something that they cannot legislate, that they cannot force upon us, then the way that they can force it upon us is by, if you look at every totalitarian regime, every single event in our history, from Marx and Hitler and like everything that happened, it was just like what was the norm of society.
One thing to keep in mind when we're talking about Marx, the thing that preceded Marx was the Jacobites. The Jacobins, you'll sometimes hear of them talked about before Marx as revolutionaries and troublemakers in the past. And those are the precursor relatives to modern communism as we know it.
Mm.
I didn't mean to interject too fiercely, as you were saying.
No, you're good. It's a conversation, man, and back and forth we go.
Yeah, I'm not used to being the only other host.
It's actually great because everybody wants to. When you got like 4 people up in here, everyone wants to talk, and it's important that everyone talks, but we actually get to focus, dive a little bit deeper, and everyone gets to know you a little bit better.
I'm desperately looking towards the chat box for inspiration, because usually Dugan will fire off like a spark plug, and he'll and I don't, his speech style is sort of a muttering sort of jazz, and
Well,
conspiratorial jazz, and a weight of much foreboding, follows his words.
it's because he is exceptionally careful with his words, and words matter. Like, specific words matter, and I think that he's exceptionally careful with every single word that he says. So he has a really unique speech pattern. Let me ask you this, Chad. I want to hear from you too, and Sigma, I want to hear from you too. Do you want to go through, continue reading the document?
No, certainly not. It's powerfully awful, and I think that let's not get too black pilled. I think we should also focus on the brighter sides of this. The fact that at least I think things are getting awful enough to where I think we will have some type of wake up event where people will begin to realize that we need to have possibly a change, and not the type of change that comes easy.
So, what's up, Armitage? So Matthew Telhart said, talk more on the pre-Marx stuff. It's interesting.
The Jacobites. I'm not a true historical scholar, but the precursor groups to modern communism are, I, we all tend to see shapes in the clouds, and I'm also always admonished by some of my precision thinking friends about, well, if you're going to make an assertion, you need to be able to trace it fully. And but the Jacobites is just sort of it's sort of the just way, if you're looking through history and you hear about revolutionaries of the past, they were always referred to like Jacobins, and then there was this heretical sect in southern France that got put down by the papacy. And I'm firing all of this off the top of my head, and of course everybody should be paying attention to Yuri Bezmenov. I definitely read about him. And right now, in the weakened state that we're in, there was, somebody was talking about the Battle of Taiwan. And I was reading on the Mongolian basket weaving forum earlier today that Taiwan might be this generation's Poland, and that may
Mm,
very well be true. Where we're going to have, a flashpoint event there. The Chinese are definitely flexing on it. And,
yeah,
that was something that Trump did deliberately on his way out of office. He made very certain to clearly designate, or as clearly as he could, in a hasty kind of way. He made a little snapshot and he's like, all right, we're going to recognize Taiwan. And we've been selling them all sorts of, I would like to hear more about that, Thomas Hardy. Yuri was kind of a fraud. Just like let her rip on that, man. Like give me a little minor essay in the comment box. It won't go to waste. But I think that the Chinese are definitely looking at Taiwan. I always thought that the little 120-mile amphibious invasion is going to be something that people are going to see being built up. And you notice that the blocking of the Suez Canal with the Evergreen container ship, that, it would be very interesting that female Egyptian captain, that is the captain of that boat, I would be,
yeah,
if I had the ability, which I don't, if I was an enterprising journalist, I would be paying attention to the lives and financial dispositions of every single person on that boat.
yeah.
Because and there is an account where someone is, hey, wasn't one of you boys in the Navy dark? You were light.
Light was, yeah,
Yeah, ask Light. Have you seen the diagram of the path that vessel took before it entered the Suez Canal?
you mean when it drew the dick?
Yeah, yeah. Could you ask him if he could ask somebody if that's a legitimate course depiction, or is that just some sort of like meta troll that's going on? Because
Hmm.
that right there is so silly. It makes me question it, but I'm reluctant to speak about it as if it is fact without reviewing more carefully.
I'm asking if he can pop on now.
Yeah, and I'm going to look at what Thomas said. He wasn't a KGB agent. He was a translator during the Afghan War, and he was in trouble for sexual relations with locals. Which side? Well, no, that's not what he's told us, Thomas Hardy. When he talked in front of the John Birch Society in the 80s, he said he was a disinfo guy, and he was in ideological subversion. He worked for the Pravda, and he spoke Indian. He obviously was intelligent enough to evade detection by probably the Indian secret police as well as his own, and was successfully able to defect to be debriefed by the CIA in Greece. And he went to Canada and lived under the name Thomas Schulman for a time. And his father was from Kazakhstan and was a senior officer in the Soviet military, and that seems pretty well documented. What you're telling me right now, Thomas, is news to me. And if you have any sources to go along with that, please link them, and I'll peruse them very much. And one thing that does occur to me when we listen to Yuri Bezmenov, and why we should still be very skeptical of what we hear, is perhaps he whispers to us the effect he would like for the witting to see. It's sort of like if you tell people things are going to happen, you kind of begin to move a progression of events in that direction. Although that's not what I think. It's only one of the things I consider. I'm more or less pretty satisfied with Bezmenov's motives.
Bro, you better be careful with that meme right there.
Oh, is that a bad one?
No, I'm just kidding.
Am I even put on another watch list? I'll be pulled
I
over in the
mean,
secondary next time I'm in the airport
if
again.
there is any additional watch list that we could be put on,
Well, I mean, they're going to require a COVID passport to enter the city of New York. So, I think that we're additional watch lists. I think that the corporations will decide who they would like to interdict and delay, and they will do
speaking
so
of
through this
interdict,
method.
sorry to cut you off. I'm so
Mhm.
sorry. We have a very special guest to discuss through his experience on battleships and ships and command ships. Ladies and gentlemen, Light Magic.
Hey, Light, what's up? Let me
Light,
find that dick picture while you guys are talking.
yeah, find the dick pic. So, Light, are you familiar with the situation of that command ship that blocked up the canal? And it was the first female.
No, that wasn't a command ship. That was a cargo ship.
I'm
Cargo
sorry,
ship,
yeah.
cargo ship.
So she drew a dick, and clearly that's a penis. I think there was an intention of drawing a vein, but it could be ball hair, like little squiggles. But then I think she gave up. Now, what we want to know is, I don't know, I guess Sigma, if you want to kind of throw either one of you, if you guys want to jump in and kind of give the breakdown of the situation. And what we want to know, with all of your experience of being on all different kinds of ships in the U.S. Navy, is this penis normal? Is
Out a
this
little
phallic
bit,
shape?
Sigma, so I can kind of see in relation to the shoreline.
So it doesn't have the shoreline in this particular picture. This is
Can
the
you
only one
zoom
I
out
have.
just a bit?
There's a few like markers here. I don't know if these are like well-known waypoints that everybody uses.
No, like the other way. Zoom
Zoom,
like out.
Zoom out.
yeah,
Yeah.
There you go.
is literally a canal that they dug into the middle of the desert to be able to further trade routes from China to the America and European countries. Now, the one thing I will say is there's quite a few points of the Suez Canal that are pretty damn narrow, and from what I remember, you have to pay, or the ship, the company has to pay to have a navigator come on the ship to be able to be there and stand next to the helm with whoever is also sailing the ship at that point in time, just to be able to make sure that, if there's a certain draft area, draft as in how deep the hull of the ship is in the water. But it's pretty deep in almost all the areas. The part where she crashed in was one of the narrower parts. I remember going through on my ship and almost felt like you could throw a rock and hit either side of the bank. And from what I saw the picture, it looked like she tried doing a K turn. You pull in, back up, around. In that dick pic, I would
Mm.
have to say she must have been thinking she was in her Prius or something, because there's no way you can do that type of turn in that motherfucking in that spot of the Suez.
Yeah, so it's more than likely some type of meme, which is why I hesitate. I've got a better resolution picture. A buddy of
Just
mine just
been
sent it to me.
that wouldn't even be freaking possible. With U.S. naval warships, what we do is we do something called gator squares, or big, ovals, or big giant squares in the ocean, to basically stay in a certain area or stay on hold offshore or waiting for our next duty point. With these big cargo vessels, they anchor off and they wait until they're allowed to go through. It is genuinely one of those where they're not going to waste more fuel than what is necessary.
One thing that strikes me is it's just a little too convenient. I don't know what the scale is or the distances indicated here, but yeah.
The way that it was explained to me was that similar to how airplanes need to kind of wait their turn and circle and basically wait till they can throw their call sign out and take off. Basically, that's what she was doing. Is that true, or is that
Completely false, because those big giant super carrier ships, cargo ships, they literally just anchor off and they wait until they can go through. There's no point in burning all that diesel fuel just to do big giant circles when you can just park neatly and be able to take your turn. Um, Maybe somebody was doodling. Maybe they had autopilot on and it course corrected, and she didn't realize that she wasn't on Microsoft Paint.
or erected? Uh, uh, well, okay. So then let's ask the other question, that when looking at anything that some people say is whatever, potential conspiracy, um, what would the benefits be to blocking the canal?
That's cutting off shipping. All your
Yeah,
Wish.com orders.
I think the British had an aircraft carrier that's in the Indian Ocean right now, and all of those European NATO naval assets may have to transition, may have to go through across the down south of the Horn of Africa to go around Africa now, and that it's very convenient. I
It's
would
like a
wonder
lot of
how
time.
the captain or chief engineer or whoever was needed to cause the engine malfunction to block the canal, if they had been paid off to do that. Sabotage or
Yeah, literally. Anytime
robbery.
you come into like the Suez, because that is a multi-billion-dollar, trillion-dollar piece of aquatic
Trade route.
highway. Yeah,
Yeah.
trade route that they have to make sure everything runs through smoothly. That shit was literally fucking they busting a U-turn. I mean, that's how bad from the pictures I saw. And the navigator on the ship with them just to be able to verify, because it's an insurance. It's also for insurance too.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's
Supposedly
a
one of the
crazy.
largest cargo ships.
Say again.
Supposedly that's one of the largest cargo ships.
So you're saying that it would be physically impossible to for it to take that route?
Canal. Yeah, that was intentional.
Well, the whole point
There's
is that there should be a witness to if the helm had deliberately steered it into the side of the canal, that representative for the canal, this person that Light is describing, sounds to me like that person's job is to either interfere with that or document the fact that that company deliberately blocked the canal. Because blocking the canal through this method is highly cost effective, because without having to project naval assets to interdict maritime traffic, they were able to really shut down a lot of commercial activity. And I bet you the commercial activity that was interdicted is not affecting China as much. I bet you that they have the Schengen zone, they have this Silk Road they're building through Central Asia to move their goods across land routes to Europe. And you notice the Chinese just signed an agreement with the Iranians to have they have a cooperation agreement? The Iranians could deal in Chinese yuan a lot easier, and I'm certain there's a lot of mutual defense stuff in there. And it's Marco Polo, it's the old Silk Road, and they're bringing it back to Europe. And this is major commercial soft power projection from the Chinese. I know
Literally could
geostrategic
be,
guy, but
yeah, that literally could be the equivalent to a false flag to get them to say, this is why we need to build this Silk Road trade route. We can have
it's in there.
trains, we
Yep.
can have caravans, you name it, we can handle it in case something happens to the Suez. Just look at how much you have to spend on dredging it out. I mean, that's not cost effective, but where do all of our naval vessels from the East Coast transition through? The Suez Canal.
Yep.
Go around the Horn of Africa, unless that is something that the captain of the ship got permission from a admiral, or it's along basically stuff of that nature. But
A
typically,
way
we
to
don't go around that.
cross-check to verify if our suspicions about Chinese involvement are true is to look and see if there were any alterations to their force dispersions that made it make sense to them. Maybe they don't really have any I've heard they don't really have a blue water navy. Maybe they don't have any assets deployed that need to transit the canal, and it's just super useful for them to be able to block it. And they know that they're interrupting the logistics, all the planning that goes into moving the hostile naval assets, that would be us, hostile to them potentially,
Go back to
and
the
they've
picture real
interrupted
quick.
that. Sorry?
I'm looking at pictures of the ship.
Go back to the dick pic real quick.
Yeah, sure. One second.
We're gonna get taken down just from how many times we said dick pic in here.
Oh, don't be that worried about it.
No, I'm playing.
I think we'd have to do
How
something
the
like
hell do
really,
you?
really critical of the shoe people to.
I guess my question is, could it be a middle finger?
No, it's a dick. I mean, it's the
No.
balls. I know.
Yep. Ball sack. Yep. Dick. It's the dick. And
Man, I'm laughing my ass off.
I'm impressed. So Armitage said they could get it out of the way with thermite in a few minutes, cheap and easy. Okay, that may be.
No, it wouldn't work that way. Because even if you blew it up with thermite, you got to dispose of the destroyed vessel. And I guarantee you the Suez Canal is not deep enough to just swallow vessels of that size all day long and not become a navigation hazard.
They could pull a ship beside it and off-road it, then they would look. Yeah, so I mean, there's definitely a solution for this.
Yeah, they're slowly doing it right now. I mean, there's this wonderful meme, Anyway, that's a poll meme.
Hey, Sigma.
Yeah, what's up?
So I'm looking at these pictures, and it's freaking funny as hell. Tell me, can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
On USA Today, how did a ship ever create the world's largest traffic jam? And it shows the size of the ship in comparison to the U.S. Capitol building.
Oh, that's nice.
That's interesting.
Yeah, he probably could hold a great deal of the Capitol building.
One thing I will have to say is, with a ship that size, you can't just turn the ship so quickly. That takes like 10 minutes for it to freaking turn and bank that damn hard to be able to dig itself into the shore. These ships are not speedboats. These things are slow, and they go what in a straight line. It takes them an hour to do a U-turn, damn near. So
it's like the difference between like a dirt bike and like turbo diesel, like what is it, a Cummins turbo diesel, freaking. I don't know trucks. I don't know shit about trucks.
Well, do you know anybody light that we could probably lifeline to and have them discuss some of that maybe they know that class of vessel?
I used to know, and that's what they call them. I do believe they call them pilots. And if you've ever seen a cruise ship or ever been on a cruise ship, before they pull into a port, or even when they're leaving a port, they have a gentleman board the ship, or mainly you see it whenever you're pulling into a port. They'll have a boat that pulls up alongside the ship. A gentleman will come off the boat onto the ship to be able to go to the pilot house and be able to make sure everything is navigated properly. So that just freaking blows my mind. That, in my personal opinion, when I saw that, um, I was like, "There's no possible way. There's no possible way. That is a deliberate freaking, a deliberate, or she
I
did
agree. It's deliberate.
those bank
Uh,
accounts."
yeah, I'd be one to watch the bank accounts to see if because I love this meme that's happening. Every evergreen that causes a traffic jam now has become a meme. I think this is somewhere in China. Um, Here's a picture of the Silk Road thereabouts. I know that I don't have full access to my screen, but you can see it transitions this little section out here through Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, all the stands going out, heading a little eastwards towards
Is Evergreen basically the 2021 Mustang?
I guess, I don't know. It might be a deep joke I don't get.
Mustang memes. A Mustang's natural habitat is going through a crowd or causing a crash.
Dude, what's up with all the birds smoking?
I don't know. I like the meme. I think I've never really done it with an actual bird, but I'm very tempted to try it now because I think birds, they're pretty intelligent, and I think that they probably, they have like some birds, their heart beats very quickly, and I imagine their respiratory system's very sensitive. That's why we use canaries in coal mines, and maybe they get high off of cigarettes. They just like it.
Could be.
Some
So
chickens myself.
Apparently, it's illegal to keep a crow as a pet.
really, like federally?
Well, blue sticks, that's what we were talking about earlier. Is we had determined that it's unlikely that the dick animation or depiction of the course that the vessel took is legitimate. I think that that's a meme. It's a troll. It's sort of like having what's his face? Gosh, he's a comedian. He's always like depicted as like the shooter in every mass shooting event. It's like a troll. You know what I'm talking about, guys? There's
I'm
this.
sorry, I'm reading about all the terrible things chat is saying right now.
I didn't say anything all that terrible.
No, I'm joking. It's they're just talking about S bombers. Oh,
uh,
light and I can be blue at the same time. Oh,
what are
where
we, Sam Hyde, that's right, Mitchell Black. Sam Hyde, you know how he's always depicted a silhouette of him in that AK? And it's a Sam Hyde type troll. It's just, a new cut of it. And I like it. It's a good troll. I'm certain it got some journalists somewhere.
Gotcha. Um,
I wonder if Sam Hyde started that troll or if other third parties did it.
what?
Oh, what were you asking a question about? Sorry, lost track.
No, I thought you were in the middle of talking. I thought you just stopped talking.
No, I was chit chatting with a box here. We were talking about Sam Hyde, this comedian, who's very red pilled.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I've heard that name before. I've never actually yeah, I don't know anything about him.
If you hang out on 4chan long enough, like whenever a murky event happens, if I can't get a decent a story out of the media, I'll go onto 4chan, read a few threads, and then use my discretion and critical thinking skills, and I'll take the sources they put out there. And what you see after you've gone to enough, the Vegas shooting, I remember they had Sam Hyde in there. Everybody shooting Sam Hyde's in there. It's just a troll. They Photoshop him into a picture, and they'll get some Eastern European country news anchor, little spoofer, and get her to talk about him on TV, and everybody's like, "Oh, score!" And it's darkly humorous. I mean, obviously, it's terrible that people have been injured or killed by whatever is going on, but it's a little bit of dark humor, and it's very modern, and it's it's gallows humor. It's very good though. It's very
No, I
very
wasn't
effective
aware.
gallows humor.
I appreciate the explanation. So, what do you think is going to happen with? I mean, like, where are we at right now with it? Because so I'm just so you guys know, I am 100% completely disengaged with um, the MSM. Like, I'm not. So I don't know where we are with the ship. Are they currently trying to?
They talk about it a little bit. I don't really pay attention to the MSM either. Brett B, I don't, and Blue Sticks, I don't think that Vegas was, and GKT 11, I don't think that Vegas was a troll. Or I mean, it was a drill. I don't think it was a troll either. It's a horrible event. And
Yeah.
it certainly had horrible effects by being depicted as a real event. And you notice the FBI guys hovering around the sheriff who was having those press conferences on a regular, and one of Alex Jones' orbiters, Miss Laura Loomer, who was elected to Congress recently, she had stuck her big nose right in it. And I have to say, I thought she was very aggressive, and I thought she did good work there. And I wish there were more people like her.
Is that the
willing
chick
to-
that was that died in a plane crash?
Laura Loomer? I don't know. I think she's live. Hold on, let me check.
So who was it? Oh no, I'm thinking of there was the woman that whose husband died in 911, and
You're thinking about one of the things I linked in the Discord.
yeah, she
No, that was from more than a decade ago. That was a woman that had
yeah,
turned down a $1.8 million settlement and decided to proceed with pressing a lawsuit, which probably would have. And you see, you'd think the government might have killed her, and she just met with the president. She's in that picture shaking Barack Obama's hand.
yeah.
But I mean, you don't think that Larry Silverman couldn't hire somebody to pop him or somebody else? All sorts of third parties. In fact, if you're at a high profile event, something like a Vegas tier or 9/11 tier event where multi-billion-dollar companies are implicated, like there was a lot of insider trading going on for the Vegas event, and there's a lot of indications, foreknowledge that a major event was going to happen. There was posts on 4chan. I remember witnessing that myself and go, "Wow, it's one of those prophetic 4chan posts," and you sort of just bookmark it in your head, and you're like, and then when you see it again, so thankfully somebody had saved it. And the SEC had a large investigation insider trading after 9/11. There was a lot of foreknowledge there, disturbing amounts.
Yeah, I
And
remember all the gold that they ended up not realizing was underneath the trade towers, and then just mysteriously disappeared. And I believe that gold belonged to Germany and China, if I'm not mistaken, something like that.
yep, I don't know much about the gold. I know about the $2.3 trillion that were missing from Pentagon coffers that Donald Rumsfeld had a press conference about on the 10th of September. A congresswoman named Cynthia McKinney, I think her name was. She grilled Rumsfeld about it. Black congresswoman, Democrat, grilled Rumsfeld about it. Had her career destroyed. There's a long list of people that were, quite forceful and aggressive, and they suffered trying to put their nose into things. And there's,
Let's look at it this way. Dick Cheney shot his friend in the face with his shotgun. Now imagine what they'll do to their enemies.
well,
Yeah.
I think that I have no great love of Mr. Cheney, but I think that
I
was a
can't stand him.
mistake. That was a mistake.
Okay.
I don't believe
Hold
that was
up.
deliberate.
Okay, hold on. I need y'all to see this. So I was gonna say, you know what? If we're gonna do this, then let's just go ahead and dig right into it. But like, tell me, you guys have seen this picture before, okay? And
You want me to put it up? Just send it to me. I'll throw it on my screen if you want.
no, it's all good. Tell me this picture.
Oh yeah, that's one of the ones I sent you guys months ago. The
Tell
high
me
profile version or high resolution version of Mr. Lanza.
that's changed. Now it's still out of spec, okay?
Mhm.
But that has changed. Were we looking at an altered version?
It's possible. I don't have any chain of custody on that file, and I acquired it sometime in 2019. So
No,
it's
keep
quite
in mind.
possible that's a altered photograph from something that would have been shown in 2012.
Keep in mind there is no FCG in there. I don't see any fire control group.
Oh yeah, the whole that actual image on its own is highly suspicious. There's the charging handle, the whole assembly there,
Yeah.
near where the buffer tube is. It's all just looks kind of melted. The PMAG itself is missing some ridging. And what this looks like is an adversarial network. So basically, take two AIs. One AI creates a fake picture. The other AI detects a fake picture, and it may have created this picture. Look at the trim and all the stuff in the background. It's a very strange image all the way around. And it's definitely worth a consideration.
Video today on a gentleman showing the differences between an airsoft AR-15 and a real AR-15, and some of the things such as the airsoft lower will not be able to take a regular M16 because the distance between pinholes, but everything else does kind of coincide. I honestly think that could be airsoft right there. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah, but even airsoft has a hold on, let me go back to this. I found a full picture. Hold on, let's see which one. I think it was, yeah, okay. Sorry, I want to make sure I share the right one. Okay, so this is a full picture. Damn, I can't really zoom in. You guys, if you're on your phone, you can zoom into it. The one we were originally looking at, I mean, it looked completely melted. The forward assist was at like almost like 15 degrees lower. It's almost like they made changes to it, which is even more terrifying. I'm not trying to be all crazy, conspiracist or whatever.
Well, we just drifted into it, I suppose. It's
Um, and what is that? A Saiga 12 on his right side, it looks like. Sega 12. Sega!
however you pronounce it, that Russian AK pattern semi-automatic shotgun. Yeah. They've actually got a AR-15 pattern magazine-fed semi-automatic shotgun I've seen. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Someone said it looks like a young Zuckerberger. Actually, he really does, funny enough.
Claim and say it was Zuckerberg that did that shit, and we can get two birds with one stone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Live stream go. So, yes, everything looks cut and pasted from a magazine, like a letter from the Riddler from Batman. Yeah, guys, don't go too crazy in the chat, okay? If I see Gerchop saying to be careful in the chat, then woo,
What are they talking about?
I don't know. I didn't
I
even look.
didn't see anything to even set my, my senses off. Oh, Blue Stick's information sources. Sadly, some of it's personal experience. You asked me a specific question about something I mentioned, and I'll try to tell you where I got it from if I'm able. There was the account I read earlier in the chat that came from a
Love you,
victim
Sir Jones.
of some of these
Sorry.
involuntary sex change operations that are happening in SoCal. That's a human being I've spoken with and got permission to share her story. And I asked her, said, hey, if you can preserve any text messages and other things, and if there anybody else that wants to write a statement about it, I'd be happy to take it down when I'm down there. I'll play journalist for a little while, and I'll try to find a decent one that'll, do the business for us.
Oh, we're almost at 50. Oh, I can't wait. Sorry. So, Sigma, I apologize, man, but I missed a good deal of. I only have 2 blue chem lights left, so
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
hopefully we don't get 50.
I got some infrared chem lights out in the
Can you
car.
send me a couple? I'll trade you some. I got
Yeah, I've got a whole bag full of them.
I got the 12-hour.
Yeah, I'm so bad at like land nav at night. I use I use the infrared chem lights to kind of remind myself how to get back to the house. If I go out and I get turned around, because you're running through like a PVS 14 and you don't have any depth perception. If you're kind of stupid like me, you'll get lost. What are we in here?
So I didn't hear because I had that little family thing pop up.
Oh,
And
the account? No, I've got it here printed off. It was just a person talking about their experiences with 3 individuals. I read up till the January 2013, but she was talking about when she's in second grade, 2012, November. There were these 3 children, 2 males, 2 female, biologically speaking. Their parents had involuntarily transitioned them. They put puberty blockers on them, and they had severely altered them biochemically speaking, and had been assisted by medical personnel and the faculty at the school. And the children killed themselves shortly. And she has the accounts of 23 other children that killed themselves, including some of their parents. And apparently it's a very trendy thing to do, to transition your child out there. And they don't do it to all their children. Like in one case, the parents had 3 other children, but they kept the one that they decided to transition close. And she knew these children. They were her friends. And those children had communicated to her that they did not want to be transitioned. And I said, well, we were talking about it in passing the other night. And I was like, well, why don't you write me an account of this? Do you have any text messages or correspondence with them, emails, other people that you knew? So this is an important story that needs to be heard. And so, for instance, Blue Sticks, that would be a source. That would be a human source for that particular story. That's not for 4chan. That's not green text. I love 4chan. Don't get me wrong. But whenever I see something on 4chan, like the dick picture, what do? We brought up Light. Light has a naval background. He was in the Navy for a while. And he knew to look at the boats and the class of boat. And he's like, yeah, that's not reasonable.
well,
And that's
plus,
why
he's
it's important.
also, not to cut you off, but Light has drawn an incredible amount of dick pics. So we had to get him in here to
Right. There's a certain
that.
expertise there. He's practically a fucking urologist at this point.
They go hand in hand. On that note, gentlemen, I'm
yes.
gonna have to hop out of here.
Right,
if you guys got any more questions, I think I could be able to hop back on. But I got a few things I'm trying to do with my cameras outside to make sure my first night with my chickens outside, they don't get eaten.
No, you're good, brother. Take it easy, man. Thank
Or
you.
watch out for those mink, man. They'll get in any crack you got there. You got mink out there for your chickens?
Not in Florida.
In Florida. We
Oh,
got
okay,
a whole
that's
bunch of those damn trash pandas, though.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, brother. I appreciate you coming on. Peace, brother. Sorry, guys, can't resist. Gerchop, most likely I wouldn't be surprised if that chat's getting probed. Just no place for the karma insertion or need for anesthesia. Cheers, light. Okay, this is for GKT. I almost hit my cell phone. All right, so I did not actually get to hear it except where you picked up on, Sarah coming into school with, scars.
Yeah, I could read some more. I don't really want to publish the essay just yet. It needs to be sanitized fully to where this person doesn't dox themselves.
Well, you did read it on a live stream that's being recorded with.
Yeah, but I'm not sending the file anywhere.
Okay, gotcha. Because I mean,
and of course, if I'm reading it, if I see something that indicates where the person is, I'm not going to read that.
Yeah. And I'll, like, if you need me to, I'll. I've nenever taken down a live stream, but if you need me to,
No, that's not an issue here.
But I did not get a chance to hear it. If people in chat would be open to you sharing some of that again, that'd be great. If not, you can read more, share more. It's up to you.
What do the chat guys want? I wonder.
I don't want to bore these guys. I'm down to get some randos in the stream. Did y'all know that Parkland, the CIA did a mock active 2 days prior to? No way. Really?
Well, Brett B, you got a source on that?
Yeah.
You got any documentation we could look through? I'd be damned interested in that. Yeah, that's right, Terminal Dogma. We know who Sam Hyde is. His name escaped me briefly.
When you stare into the void long enough, bro.
Oh, that's some Nietzsche right there, I believe.
Over and under on the dark laptop died. What's the over under on the dark laptop dies on screen? Guessing 3 hours and 3 minutes. Hey man, I actually brought the plug. The funny thing, I don't know if y'all know this about Apple. I grabbed my charger, and I don't know if you've ever grabbed your charger like this on accident, but this piece is actually important, I've heard. So, and if y'all don't know this, did you know these two things are to spool the cable around? What? I know, talk about innovation. I don't want to talk about what is innovated, but throttling has commenced on my end, just so you're aware. Oh, bro, we are being completely throttled. In literally 40 days, we went from 80 to 1,080 subscribers, and in the past, I don't know, 3 weeks, we lose 10, gain 20, lose 10. Gain 10, lose 10. Gain 2, it's literally just keeping us at this neutral amount. It's crazy. I can't believe that we've been manually reviewed and allowed to stay here. Like somebody said that what they probably did was a normie probably heard Dugan talking and was like, oh, this is fine. Let's go, approved. Not understanding. Yeah,
well, it's a shame Dugan's not around because he could do all the heavy lifting. I just draft. I'm Kyle Petty and Dugan's Dale Earnhardt. I'm just drafting along the race there.
Yeah, I know, man. Yeah, he needed a break, man. You know what? Fuck it, I'll say it. I was looking at a video that he did. I think it was March of 2020, so about a year ago. What's up, Zapov? And he looked completely different. he looked different physically. He spoke with more energy. Yeah, of
We
course,
all need a break from the digital.
we're leaving him alone. We're not bothering him. He just came up and he needed to detach himself from everything anyway. Um, so no, he's good. He's spending time with his family. He's doing his thing. So
Yeah.
all good.
So I'm trying to think of what to talk about with the
Yeah,
homies
for sure.
here.
Well, he has his hands full. Um, I haven't bothered him, called him, texted him, nothing at all. I'm not going to contact him. His phone's likely in a lead box, and so
Yeah.
it'll be good for him to get some time just kind of spending it with his family.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, I would love to hear a little bit more about her, recounting. Of course, we all love Dugan, man.
I was trying to think maybe having that industrial engineer on some point, maybe another night. He could probably answer any questions given to him. He's extremely knowledgeable. Um,
so I
I know for a fact he's not invested in anything. Like he just doesn't like much of the stuff that's out there because he just explains it. He'll talk about the thermodynamics of lithium batteries, how they're mined, all the refining processes in between getting it out of the ground, maintaining it, the delta between how much energy it took to get the thing on. And then he says, it lasts 300 miles under ideal conditions. What do you do when you're up north and it's 20 below in the winter and it gets 20 miles instead of 300? It's so many conditions, so many different. What predictions? Mitchell Black. Well, let's just stick our finger to the wind and see which way the trial of George Floyd's brutal killers goes. Because we all know they're guilty. I mean, the family was totally given a civil. They want a civil settlement of $27 million.
Yeah, it's we way back when we were doing the open source investigation, learning everything that we did. Do you guys want us to talk about that? There was months that we did an open source investigation on Derek Chauvin and George Floyd, and I'd be totally open to talking about that. And there was a time where I don't have the information in front of me, but I could I would love to talk about predictions for the summer and predictions for the rest of 2021. But if you guys did also want to discuss, like, there was a point where I could tell you, like, the day that Derek Chauvin went dirty and started accepting money and
I
counterfeit
think
money.
almost all the cops do some of that on the side, but Sport Brand said something. The world is getting dumb as fuck as of late,
Kidding.
and I think that the way to answer that is the fact that the world, the elite, no longer really rely on high quality human resources, and they've automated so many things, and they've noticed that there's a real loss. They get diminishing returns on a highly educated populace because that populace is able to negotiate for better wages. They become competitors potentially. They get outmaneuvered, and they've decided to pursue a program of, it seems like, depopulation. Like when I'm reading this girl's essay on all of her suicidal friends, and I look at all the horrible things that have happened as of late, I'm left with the undeniable conclusion that they don't want anybody to be competing with them, and they're just
Oh,
smashing the board, letting the pieces fly. And we're very close to war here. I think that there's a potential flashpoint for international conflict, and what's the first casualty of war? It's the truth. And if you're too busy trying to figure out which sex you are and you're worried your child's going to become suicidal when they want to transition because they watch too much anime, how can you make complicated decisions on what your geopolitical, what needs you need to fulfill politically? And you can't keep a girlfriend. Nobody's married. Your church is busy trying to placate every minority group out there in some silly sort of like just slimy placating sort of way. It's a sad time, really is. And I think that's caused a lot of people to be very withdrawn and
Oh
they're
shit!
sluggish.
I'm sorry. I just got to throw this out there. Hold on one second. I'm live streaming right now. I'll share it with everyone. So you guys know that this is probably going to get completely throttled. You guys know that the whole issue with auto keycard happened, where it was a picture etched on a piece of metal, and the guy's name is Christopher J. Irvin, and he was arrested, raided. They took everything, all the documents, files, computers, like all of that stuff. Anyway, his lawyer, they were guessing that his public defender was kind of bogarting from him getting resources because the GOA had committed to defending him, providing a team of lawyers. Several YouTubers, were open to contributing to him. Anyway, it is official right now. There is a GoFundMe that is set up for Christopher J. Irvin. You know what? Fuck it. I'll share the link right now. Obviously, guys, like, don't feel like you have to contribute, but if you choose to, feel free. I'm going to throw it in there. I'm so sorry to cut you off, Sigma. I didn't,
That's all right. Give me an opportunity to step outside and take a whiz.
put a little nitrogen in the ground. Yeah, I saw that raid footage, and bro, yeah, there's a few things there. So
Yeah.
he verbally talked me through the other things that happened during that 4 hours with 12 federal agents in that home. They literally dumped out all the cereal, but like every unopened piece of dry storage in the pantry and in the kitchen was unopened and poured out all over the place. Every child's toy was broken open. All the shampoos were cut open and poured out. Like, they literally searched every vent. They used the endoscoping cameras. They searched every single square inch of that home.
Yep. That's what they'll do to your car as well if you consent to a search.
Dude,
And if you consent to that search, that you don't have a lot of redress.
yeah. I
That's
was just
why.
talking about the same thing today. My a family member, a canine hit on their vehicle, which was total garbage. There's no reason a canine would have hit on their vehicle. Anyway, a canine jumped in and dug all around and scratched up all the, like, it literally destroyed the interior of the vehicle, and they could do nothing to get it taken care of, and basically tried to take them to court, and they said that they're only responsible for what was
Was this the judge or was this the lawyer they hired?
This was the actual, like, it went to a court case.
Oh, and it got ruled on.
It got ruled on, and they had said that the police are only responsible for unreasonable levels of damage.
Well, I think that's something you might have to see what reasonable and unreasonable is defined as. And that may vary on the justice. You might need to appeal it until you get a favorable judge. I think that they're going to be reluctant to rule on that because they want to keep the police able to search things. I mean, that's it's one of those things. I remember one time I was stopped and they wanted to search me, and the dog hit on my car, and they had me out of the car, and I'm sitting on the hood, being cooperating with them, and I've got quite a few weapons in the trunk. I'm going to shoot the next day, and in order to get out of it, after I talked to them for 30 minutes, they asked me a whole bunch of questions real rapidly. It's like, is there anybody inside the car held against their will? Blah, 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 blah. And they rattled off through a bunch of, I would answer yes or no. And they tried to slip that one in there to get, the last one was, if you don't mind, if we needed to, could we look through your car? And if I said no, I don't mind, I had to like pause and I go, well, no, you're not allowed to search the vehicle. You're gonna need a warrant for that. And then they just continued to work their way, and I finally got to the point where it's like, am I being detained or am I able to leave? And I've been very reasonable with them. And then finally, in order to get out of it, because they were gonna search me, right? And I hadn't raised my voice with them. I was pretty chill about it. I just said, well, do you know so and so? And I dropped a name. It's like, oh, you know that guy? I was like, yeah, that's where I'm going. The guy that trained all you guys to shoot. That's who I'm shooting with tomorrow. And then they backed off, let me go. And a lot of these departments, there's certain roads they interdict, and they're looking for anybody that doesn't fit their subjective interpretation of normal. So they're not allowed to profile on racial lines, but they profile on other lines, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're looking for money to seize. They're looking for whatever they can get. And like right now, you go to Baltimore and, they've decriminalized so much stuff. I think that the law-abiding population and the relatively docile, cooperative population may not exactly be law-abiding. They're more inclined to police them. Like the Democrats have graduated beyond police. Their vision of the future of policing, like as distressed and as frustrated as we are with modern law enforcement, the one thing you have to give them, they are oftentimes wearing a uniform. They're clearly marked. There are ways to interact with them formally. And, it's sort of like when you hire a doctor or a lawyer to work for you or work on you, right? You have to look at that person like they're not necessarily independent. You have to help them do their job correctly.
Yeah.
And with police, like I watch a lot of these civil rights audits, and it's good that people do that. I think that's a worthwhile thing as long as you do it politely. And, like right now, if right now, the replacement for the police as we know it, and you could tell the corporations are very much behind the BLM gambit, okay? They would like to replace uniformed formal police with at a regular paramilitary organization like Antifa, which are the brown, contemporary, they're the brown shirts of today that are the Ku Klux Klan, and they will informally enforce the law. And you know how everybody's worried about red flag lists? Well, a red flag list, potentially you could FOIA records pertaining to why you're on that red flag list. And if you are on that red flag list, right now, you may not be able to FOIA the reasons that you're on a corporate red flag list, and you won't even know it because you're being interdicted by irregular paramilitaries who have a highly opaque decision-making system. And you've got to placate them. So if I'm guilty of a thought crime because I said spick, even though I do not hate Mexicans, I think it's a cool, edgy way of referring to them. If they get pissed off, I have to tell them, I was like, look, I'm relying on you bastards to be the people that are probably going to end up replacing us, because not a lot of non-Hispanic whites are having kids anymore. And we certainly can't seem to stand up for basic things like, well, is a girl or a guy a guy? We can't do these things anymore. And, the first question, I spent a lot of time in Central Asia. I like roam around. I do all kinds of stupid shit, right? And
Oh,
the first question they always ask me is like, "What's with this transsexual stuff?" And I have to like look at them, and I go, "I don't know. I can't tell you." And I just I let my emotions flow because sometimes you have to talk to people in the pauses, the dark matter in between words and understanding, and you have to like project your feelings onto them to where they can feel your sadness or your confusion. And the tragedy of most of this is well, the power does concentrate in the hands of a bunch of sociopaths, and they're pretty predictable no matter where you go, especially in the
100%.
civilized world.
What the hell? There we go. 100%. Dude, I am not like
That's what I was saying. In defense of the uniformed police, they're being replaced with Antifa. Just everybody that's here, take very careful mark of what I'm telling you. BLM is a corporate gambit to replace formal police structures. They want to do away with the court system. They encourage this civil unrest to overload the existing system for processing it because they know its tolerances. You could break that system as surely as you could break the wing on an aircraft by overg'ing and overstressing the airframe. You can break these things, and they're doing it. They're asserting power right now. And then the media, you notice how they had Newt Gingrich on Fox. I still watch Fox sometimes. Former Speaker of the House, right? Very well-spoken guy. Yeah, he seemed to have some very adventurous romantic life back before it was even remotely acceptable. But anyway, he he was talking about George Soros on a show, and like he was there was this woman who used to be a CIA spokeswoman, and she just shut him down. It's like, we're not going to talk about that. And you've got this former bureaucrat who's a servitor. She is supposed to be a fucking office monkey actuating policy, and now she's graduating the private sector, and she is asserting herself forcefully on this former elected official, reprimanding him for mentioning Soros. And we can't even talk about the dudes funding these systems. And I get it that people are frustrated with police, frustrated with FBI and all these different organizations. They're all terrified of this irregular force that operate like organized crime groups that have, unlike the mafia, okay? They're not stupid enough to engage in open violence. They got Maria Salvatrucha to do their wet works. They've got deniable assets. They have layers of people that handle the like, for instance, can I talk about the Seth Rich thing? Is that for voting for us, or?
sure. All right.
Okay, so if you've paid attention to Seth Rich, this is a good example of the chain of activity that these multinational corporations, political groups that are basically organized crime that they run through is they'll um they'll identify somebody like Seth Rich who leaked material. Probably he leaked 99% sure he leaked the Podesta emails and some of the other correspondence to WikiLeaks.
Mhm.
And in order to make an example out of him, they needed to kill him. Okay, they had to send a message to the rest of their people. It's like, you do not do this. You will die if we find you. There's no ands ifs or buts about it. And they brought a couple MS-13 gangsters to kill them. Now, were these kids competent enough to neutralize the cameras and all the other sensor packages that would have recorded them doing this? No, there was probably some people that neutralized those systems, right? And they probably didn't understand what they were doing, but they were given a task, they executed the task. And it's sort of like doing an operation on a human being. You're doing a heart bypass, right? You open up the chest cavity, and you got an anesthesiologist doing this, and you got a whole bunch of other people doing other things. Well, for these operations to persist in the time of geofencing and all this passive sensor arrays that are around us, There's layers of people that do this. And then you got the human asset handlers, which are very rare. You don't see them very often. They probably handled these kids that shot Mr. Rich. And then they exfiltrated them down, from what I understand, in South Carolina, and they were liquidated, in a place that's easier to kill them. And
Yeah.
ever since then, ever since these things happened, the wheels have left the ground. Like this airplane has taken off, and we are in a time that transcends law, order, and decency as we know it, and it is proceeding at pace. We had the Epstein revelations, and we sit back, we go, is it Israel that did all this? And I think the Israelis are very much involved. They're a wonderful place to exfiltrate your compromised agents that are doing all sorts of nefarious things, like handling MS-13 assassins or whatever you want to do. You drop them down there when you're done, and they have a place to hide to where they don't spend the rest of their life in prison. They can have other identities, because the Israelis have shown a complete disregard for anybody else's identity. You look at some of their hit crews in Saudi Arabia, the Australian identities, all the lost passports in the world, they buy them up and use them. But you got this array, and I think that the way I organize the major four actors of global power right now, it's Russia, China, the United States, and, for lack of a better term, to collectivize this gigantic group of multinational corporations, I just call them World Economic Forum. And the World Economic Forum are able to exert tremendous influence, and they have the ability to just, like, whenever they don't like a rule set, they just switch from place to place, and they could constantly grind away at the state authority and regulatory ability by playing the states off of each other. Like, they don't like the Chinese regulated them one day, well, they jab on them a little bit, they pump the U.S. up. They get tired of the U.S. regulating them, they invert it. Zuropov 70. I wish I remembered the chatter that I sourced South Carolina from. And just to clarify, my knowledge of the Seth Rich assassination and what happened afterwards is gleaned from a bunch of unconfirmed sources on a Mongolian basket weaving forum that I read probably far too much. And I applied some ambulatory knowledge of such things to it, and I sort of sifted through it. I'll dig around, but yeah, I've given you a few keywords to search, at least on your own. I'm certain there's some written accounts that you can get at this point. I certainly don't have direct contact with any of those sources, but and talk about Russia. The Russians' relevance. So, like, we always think of things in just terms of money. Money, that's like pure fuel for a rocket, right? To get people to do stuff. The Russians also have prestige. They have research capability, infrastructure redundancy, history. They have the largest surface area in the world. And, we sit back, we look at the Russians and the Chinese arm in arm, and we think, oh, that's a scary base. Well, the Chinese stole a bunch of Russian technology as well. Look at the Su-27. That's a fighter interceptor, fourth generation aircraft, developed in the late 70s, very similar to F-15. The Chinese knocked it off. They call it a J-11. And they also knocked off the Su-33, which is the naval launched aircraft variant. They can't build the engines for them. All of the tool and die machinery the Chinese get, they still order it from Switzerland, Germany, the United States, Italy, these places that could actually produce those finely machined things. Those trade secrets are intact still. That's something the Chinese, no matter how much they steal, they can't quite reproduce. They reproduce everything they possibly can steal. And the Chinese have they've cheated people enough to where they do have to bribe everybody. Now, at the same time, we fuck ourselves. Like whenever I sit back and I talk to people about U.S. Diplomatic posture, I say, yeah, guess what? We gobbled up all these Baltic states that were willing to come and join us after 1990, and we were fucking that up right now because of our weird deviant lifestyle choices. And the Russians, they're riffing right off of it, because what did the Russians do in 2013? They banned non-standard families by from being depicted on film. They absolutely will lock that down. They will not let you depict it. It is illegal, and they will harass you over it. And they understand that they have to maintain a certain standard of living, and they're going to end up taking Hungary, Poland, and a lot of countries back willingly. It is incredible to me whenever I looked at the U.S. embassy in Seoul during Trump's time, and it had a rainbow flag and Black Lives Matter out in front of it. That was absolutely insane.
Bro, let me tell you this. I went to DC. I've had to go to DC 3 times in the past year for work. Bro, that city, the entire city is occupied by BLM. Have you seen what it looks like there?
Yeah, I was at Trump's inauguration. I was actually in the back area, so I got to look at the man put his hand on the Bible. I had to go to a congressman and gave me a ticket. It's colored. Secret Service, scanned me and scowled at me a little bit. And I was wearing a suit that day, and it was cold in the morning, and I was pumped up. I was happy. I couldn't stay with my friends that are journalists in town because, like, even at that point, I lost all my friends in the city once they knew while I was in town, because they were like, "Yo, we can't back you up," because and that's right, Brett B. BLM are racists. I talked to guys from South Africa. There's some South Africans right now I am in the middle of helping, because the mother of this family, she's been robbed at gunpoint 3 times. And the father's desperate to evac his kids and his wife out of that country. And they don't have a lot of money. And, a lot of people won't help them because, it's not stylish to help people that are white or Dutch looking. And it's like, look at this horrifying paper this girl gave me. Like, 23 of her friends are dead from suicide, and some of their parents as well.
He said he wasn't certain of the exact area in South Carolina. It just came.
No. Sorry, Zoroboff 70. I will absolutely look this up while we're talking.
What's up, Carmus? Let me share with you, of course, how to take another bite. Okay, so what Zalpov, did that help you? He's going to look into it. He said he didn't recall exactly where in South Carolina, but something in his memory.
I've already got something. Hey, I don't have a ability to post anything on YouTube. I'm going to give this to you in. I'm sending in that, I think, to you in Discord. Do you see it?
Let me see.
And just posting that. That article has some discussion about the South Carolina murders that are believed to be related to Seth Rich's assassins being liquidated after the hit. Oh yeah, I was on top of like the scaffolding that was there. And there was a couple Secret Service guys on there that kept on telling us to get down or they'd kick me out. I had a really good vantage point by a tree.
It was just a dick pic.
Oh, did I send you a dick pic?
I'm just kidding.
I mean the thing. Oh yeah, you sent me a link for this chat, and then I sent you the link for it's an Investment Watch blog article on the assassination.
I'll get it in just 1 second, then I'll post it in chat. Or do you want me to pull it up and share it?
Just drop it in Zuropov, or just drop it in the main chat, and Zuropov can click on it, and that'll sort us. And Zuropov, the assassinations of this nature are pretty common. Like in the town I live in, I've had an individual come up to me before and show me a man that had been cut in half by a car. And he was cut in half by the car over gambling debt. And the way that they sort people out that are low priority, that need to just be intimidated or killed to maintain the circulation and authority they need to keep the rackets going these days. They don't like using guns. They don't like using poison. They like cars, because even if you get caught, you can always say, "Oh, I didn't see him. Oh, it was an accident." There's lots of layers of deniability, and it's a very sophisticated system. And ironically, I am not a police officer. I was trained as one, and I just sort of lost. Jamal Khashoggi. Yeah, that's an amazing killing, wasn't it? The fact that his Apple Watch recorded his torture. And I think that is all involved in the subterfuge of the crown prince that skipped line. There's a lot of, there's 5,000 Saudi princes. They all hate each other. I mean, they don't all hate each other, but I mean, they're very competitive at the top.
Zalpov said he almost got vanned once. Is that what you were talking about that one day when you said they almost got you in a?
I believe you, Zalpov, and then just vary your movements, and hopefully it's not a huge crew that are trying to van you. Who's trying to van you, Zalpov? I mean, this is a fun thought exercise. I can't tell you much about Zalpov or Khashoggi, other than what was pretty much known. It's amazing that he was tortured and killed so blatantly. And I think that since the Crown Prince is so clicked up with Trump, like the Crown Prince was probably the target of the assassination in Las Vegas. And I think that, the Clintons and their people are probably involved with some of our federal agencies that may have possibly facilitated that. I don't know, because they look very stressful, whatever happened there.
Yeah, I had no.
There's so many different versions of that story. It's very difficult to say. I suspect that there's some absolute full on craziness going on there. And the reason you'd shoot a crowd up, okay, after an assassination of that level of sophistication going bad, is it creates digital cover. It creates noise. So the metastasizing nature of sympathetic communications emitting from that country music festival. So all those nice, extroverted, social people that are out there to frolic and party, the fact that you shot up a few of them and they're going to all complain to their friends, they're and their friends are going to talk about the friend that they knew, and then my cousin's injured and blah 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 and yada yada yada. It spreads and it creates a huge amount of noise, and then people are suddenly traveling to hospitals back and forth. Other people are acting stupid and wild, and next thing you know, it's easier to exfiltrate people out of an area because you have a whole bunch of sympathetic chaos that occurs from that mass shooting. So I don't know what the motive was for shooting up that crowd, but I suspect it was partly to cover, to divert attention away from the real objectives of the crew that was trying to kill the Crown Prince. And the Crown Prince doesn't want to talk about it because he doesn't want to get to the point where he can't travel anywhere. Because I think they go to Vegas to unwind. Vegas is a pretty secure area, and what's amazing is we don't have more footage of Paddock. There are more cameras in those fucking hotels than there are in a nest full of spiders.
Oh my God, it's crazy.
Several times over.
You can't do anything.
And you had that hero guard, and he's fucking dead. Whoever showed up at the Ellen DeGeneres show, and Ellen works for MGM. Like, she's owned by them. She ran a PR campaign. She was coached. It's her job to diffuse that and deflect attention away. The fact that Paddock's house was broke into after it was been searched by a third party who was not caught, that's incredible. That's all very incredible. And that is when QAnon showed up on the scene afterwards. Trump declassified JFK material. Now we know that the Israelis seem to be involved in funding people. There's memos around about that, funding the people that killed JFK. And JFK wanted to inspect the Diamona facility where the Israelis researched the nuclear weapons. And there's a huge amount of fallout from that. The Turks right now probably have a nuclear weapons project that nobody really wants to talk about. The Saudis probably have bought one from, either Pakistan or the Russians, some Eastern Bloc group. Who knows? Do they have their ability to produce their own devices? I don't know. But there's tons of chatter around if you care to read about it. Zeropop, did that link work for you on Seth Rich?
Yeah, I think I
Seth
accidentally.
Rich is a pretty straightforward one. There's a lot of people who looked at it, and I think that one's pretty much put to bed. And we know that.
I think I accidentally reshared the.
Oh yeah, Breitbart absolutely is assassination. I can't remember the type of poison that causes someone to turn black. Occasionally you'll find people that turn black after poisoning. I think that's how Breitbart turned up. Yeah, that was a poison.
Thing,
Yeah.
There are a lot of different poisons that cause necrosis of the skin.
Well, yeah, I don't. But I remember discussing deliberately which poison this was.
Maybe ricin.
Well, no, I think when you do something like that to someone, you obviously kill them with poison. It's to send a message, and I think that they were worried about the implications of accusing John Podesta of being a child trafficker, and he got liquidated for that.
Here's what I'll say. At any time, and I'll be careful the way that I say this. Actually, fuck being careful. At any time, in any event, if there's ever anything that attracts a lot of attention, and you see the mainstream media all talking about it, but all using the same exact languaging and languaging patterns about it, usually it's to divert attention. I'll give an example. The question you have to ask yourself is, who benefits from this? Who would profit from this? Who would? There's always another story in the background, and it's the one that you would never even think. Like there's got to be something else going on in the background of every single one of those situations, for the same reason that for weeks and weeks, every single mainstream media outlet is saying surge in mass shootings, surge in mass shootings, surge in mass shootings, even clipping like all these different states saying surge in mass shootings.
Well, the key thing to remember is the surge. The mass shooting is defined by 4 or more victims, injured or killed.
4 or more. There are some that say 3 or more, but I think the correct one is 4 or more. And in this situation, this was being published without citing any mass shootings, without surges in mass shootings. See here, and here. We're thinking no, nothing at all. All it said was surges in mass shootings. The same media outlets were pushing that out, and they were even using the same thumbnails for different articles for different states. And then weeks later, all of a sudden, there are actual mass shootings, and then every single like MSNBC, NBC, PBS, CNN, like all those major, Soros money, shoot people money channels are all using the same exact languaging, saying 7 mass shootings in 7 days by white male extremists.
Okay? Hey, Dark, I just wanted to point out to Zuropov, this is the URL link you should try. Just take a screen cap of this. Apparently he wasn't able to get it.
That's the same one that I shared. Look.
I know. He's talking in chat. I don't get it.
Sorry, I didn't mean to ignore you. I just wasn't lose my back scratch.
Yeah, this mass shootings is completely fucking toxic. Seriously, if y'all are really worried about it and you're American citizens, I would say go ahead now and start talking to your local sheriff about how you're gonna, maybe you need to join the reserve deputies so that the sheriff can, if he really wants to, he probably delay the feds for a little while.
You know what? You're right. I'm going to post it on Discord because you can't click it in chat. Sorry about that, guys.
That's all right. Hey, does anybody recognize these 2 people? This would be an interesting discussion while we're on the topic of all this craziness is going on.
Well, hold on really quickly. Let me actually, fuck it. Go ahead.
Yeah. Keep it comfortably geopolitical for once. Does anybody know these people? I'm going to... what's the...
Let me click the link and I'll see what it says for me. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, that is so trippy. It's not even showing.
Well, that's too bad. Just type in
It's showing on. I got it on my phone, but when I turn my phone around, it's literally straight white.
I'm using different browsers than you guys are. You should definitely not be using Mozilla or Google to some of these links. They're not dark web links. They're just, I think that Google and the mainstream browsers now filter this stuff.
I'm putting it in.
I don't doubt you're not lying, Zarapov. And yeah, it's Anyan Suchi, Chop. You're on it. That's money, my dude. So while we're on the yeah, get off Chrome, Zarapov. Get like Brave or something, or any new offbeat browser, and try DuckDuckGo and search for Seth Rich, South Carolina, and you'll find and then what was the name of that URL I sent? Investment Watch blog, Seth Rich, South Carolina, and you'll probably find the article pretty quickly, Zarapov. But moving on to Anyan Suchi. So you guys all remember the QAnon stuff and all that stuff that had happened, where they thought the election had been rigged and everybody's freaking out, their hair's on fire. So what the Burmese military appears to have done is they looked at the evidence that was presented by Giuliani and whatever her name is, the one that's always got like the leopard print shit on, that's a former federal prosecutor, and they're being sued by Dominion right now. But they looked at that evidence and they were like, oh, well, these are the guys that do our election, and we were kind of wondering about this shit. Yeah, we're arresting the Burmese prime minister, Aung San Suu Kyi. And I probably mispronounced that name. But anyway, and to her credit, though, even after she'd been installed, and she's very close to Obama and Clinton, and I do believe that the stuff that was talked about Hammer and Scorecard and our IC rigging elections and them using those tools to interfere in the American election is just an escalation of a known pattern that exists anyway, where we know, even ever since Goldwater ran against LBJ, is Goldwater's campaign were complaining they were constantly being eavesdropped on. LBJ was well aware of any talking point or any trick they were going to try to pull, and he was more than prepared. They had no tricks, and they were reverting to like diet spook moves to try and get their campaign strategies done. They were like going to payphones and shit. So this is a continuation of the intelligence community's bias to support domestically the Democrat Party. And the Democrat Party is clicked up with like Maria Salvatrucha. This is an echo of the stuff that happened with the Sandinistas and all that craziness in Central America in the 80s. And, I think that the Republicans are kind of like playing second fiddle to this shit. Ever since somebody turned JFK's head into a canoe, everybody's just busy, placating the Democrats. And LBJ was terrified of the Israelis. When the USS Liberty incident happened, he tried to stand down the Fifth Fleet from QRFing to respond to the USS Liberty being attacked by Israel. And 20 years later, some spooks broke in and acquired the transcripts from the Israelis to show that they were well aware that they were knowingly attacking a U.S. Naval ship in the Mediterranean. There's so many layers to this. It's all fairly straightforward. The problem is that none of our intelligent media people are allowed to talk about it. Like, you can see that Newt Gingrich got told to shut the fuck up on Fox when he just talked about Soros. And that is layer numero uno. And beneath that is the history and evolution of these systems.
What is so? I would consider this. Look back all the way to the Israeli art students, okay? And I know this is a different topic, but to your point,
Close enough.
Yeah. If you look back to the Israeli art students, Fox was one of the only mainstream media outlets that actually wrote an article on it, published an article on it online, okay? And after it was published, I forgot the guy's name. After it was published, they had the guy go out and basically retract the information that he put out about the Israeli art students and how there was 120 students that were all had a background of, military, high explosives training, that, they're doing all these things that are out of place and whatever. And the guy went on national TV, and it's even on YouTube still, even though it was banned, removed, and put back up, and constantly, it's still on there. And he says basically, um, hi, I posted the article regarding the Israeli art students, and I wanted to let all of you know that the story was removed due to a lack of bandwidth on our, like, totally, you could tell he was getting squashed. Okay. And no other mainstream media outlet wanted to cover it. It was ignored. There was even a senator that was questioned about it on live TV. They were taking calls from people, and people were constantly calling in about it. This is a different era, different, age and time. And they will jump in, squash something, and not only will they silence it, they
Yeah,
will
they'll try
schwack
to block it, just
you
like
too.
a basketball play. They'll
Yeah.
block it as much as they can. They'll hard foul you. They'll check you too. And it's important to keep pushing that. And refreshingly, the Democrats do occasionally seem to be somewhat Israeli skeptic. They piss them off. Like both sides do flex on them a little bit. It's we're in a weird time. Like I know the FBI ran around and arrested a bunch of Mossad agents after 9/11. They just did it on the down low. They don't talk about it openly, and most people don't appreciate the importance of our entertainment media briefing the population on these events. Like it's sort of like cooking a stew. You've got a big huge hunk of meat. It's in the oven. What are you going to marinate it with? You need to soak this stuff in to where it's in the package. And people don't immediately take things straight away. And there's a tremendous learning curve. And this is part of these parasitic countries, these client states. And client states historically are always up to shenanigans. And they we're incredibly manipulated at this point. And I think that perhaps the fading of US imperial power will be a healthy thing. And I don't want us to lose our power. Like I like the ability for me to travel so freely and have immediate financial leverage. I can very comfortable this way. But ultimately, the reason we lost our power and the reason we're going to lose it is we fucked up horribly. I can't tell if this is a strategy anymore or if this is an accident. I can't tell if it's design or accident at this point. The neurosis, the fucking insanity of contemporary domestic politics. One would think, is it Bismovian ideological subversion, or are we looking at something that just it's got a life of its own? It's part of the fact that we lost touch and we are not doing basic maintenance to our own systems. Like we've forgotten law and order. We have no meritocracy. We have no true meritocracy. We have all of this naked nepotism hiding behind. You can't talk about the Israelis or the Jewish preference, in-group preference, without just completely destroying your vertical integration. You can't advance anywhere corporate wise. Like I lost friends just for attending Trump's fucking presidential thing. You imagine how freaked out they'd be if they heard me talk about our precious chosen people in the way that I am. I mean, I don't hate them, but I think that we have to be critical of them, because if we're not, this group and any group that you're uncritical of will eventually exploit that. We have spoiled children that are running roughshod over us, and they use these organized criminal cartels and their money to fuck us and to keep us herded, to scare us. The police, I know, are terrified of stepping outside the line because they know that at the end of the day, they'll be sold out by their brothers. There's very few, like I remember I had a little child. I was about 20 years old, and I was living in a little little shitty apartment, and I heard a crying noise one night while I was sleeping. I woke up. It's a 4-year-old in a diaper out in the hallway. So I call the cops, right? Cops show up. 2 officers, black guy and a white guy. Kid refuses to be carried by me to the door, but doesn't want to be left alone in my room. So she insists on following me all the way downstairs to let these guys in, buzz them in. And she vomits all over the place. And we set her down on my couch. The white cop's got a kid. And he's established rapport with the child. Black cop goes outside to try and get into junkie mom's apartment through the window after he couldn't knock on the door. And I know the black cop because he used to hold a gun to my best friend's dad's head when I was a kid. He'd come over and just beat the shit out of my best friend's dad. And I'm sort of playing with the white cop, and I'm playing them off of each other. I say, hey, I want to be a cop. I'm studying criminal justice, blah, blah, blah. I'm kind of lying at this point. And I said, what's it like? Do you trust your partner? And I want to see what the white cop's going to do. He's like, fuck no, I don't trust my partner. I was like, wow. Their morale's terrible. And that's something you see as you get older and wiser, is the morale, they're absolutely, the weight of all of the bullshit that we do not see is there. And 90% of the crimes that happen, there's no capacity to effectively investigate it all. And that's why we see this irregular paramilitary force running all over the place, Antifa, BLM, intimidating anybody that tries to enforce the law. We're looking at a covert revolution underway. It is as soft as they can do. It's highly sophisticated. They're using escalation of force, and they're going to try and replace our formal law enforcement systems. And we're going to go to an extra legal period where the Constitution won't matter. You're going to have your guns taken by maybe a mob of random people from the city that are ideologically crazed, and as those people learn, or they'll atrophy off. I mean, I'm making some suppositions here, but most of that we can see parts that have already proven true are there.
Brother, I think we're already there. Like my first guess when all this started happening was that their goal was to become the new political party, right? Like to where one day people would be going to vote Democratic or BLM this election, And
the BLM are absolutely serving the people that control the overall political infrastructure. There's some highly trained private sector paramilitaries that will handle them, that look everything like CIA agents, that may have covert meetings inside of these towns. They run low-level intelligence networks in all the cities that Antifa and BLM emanate from. I can name a few of them off the top of my head. They're integrated with things like YPG out of northern Iraq. They got all kinds of fucking like it's there, and the private sector moves so formlessly between all these layers. Like, everybody's freaking out over glow in the dark CIA niggers. Fucked up. Sorry. But the really, you should watch out for the private sector guys that get paid $20,000 a month. Those are the dudes you worry about. They're a lot better than the rank and file bureaucrat DOT guy.
Sorry, and to reassemble. You still there?
Yeah. I had to slow my roll there. I tripped over an N-bomb and nearly destroyed our nice little stream here. It was terrible of me, and I deeply apologize for what I've done. And I promised to drink 5 or 6 Hail Marys after the stream to, atone for my sins, punish my liver.
No, it's clear that the goal is to establish control 100%, and they had done that, and that was, looking at the last year, they had, like, think of how challenging this would be, an entire national destabilization operation, and
we're in the middle of it, and it's highly controlled. They're not due to destabilize this to where chaos can be used against them.
It's peaks and valleys.
And right now, the Democrats have put it on a back burner. You notice that during all the hearings where Bill Barr would go and be grilled by these senators, they're in their masks, imperiously looking for their socially distanced little pulpits. They're like, Antifa's a myth. It's not real. You had that fat fuck Nadler that got in a little impromptu interview with him. And he's like, it's not real. It's a myth. It's absolutely fucking real. It is a covert racketeering organization. The DOJ know about it. The head of the FBI, Ray, this guy knows about it. They all sold out to this. I am certain that the rank and file middle class agent doesn't like this, but he's got a huge workload. They've psychologically profiled these guys, psychographically mapped their entire staff, and they know how to pit. Like if you've got an agent that leans Democrat, they put him against the leftists. If you got a leftist leaning agent, they put him against the right wing guys, and they play everybody off the middle. And then the guys in the middle are probably the ones they kind of keep moving between the two factions. But you can see how this works out. And everybody's always like, well, why do you care if your cell phone's monitoring you? It's like, because dude, the people that are making maximum optimal use of the passively generated, highly detailed psychographic and biometric map of the entire US population that's almost live, it's not necessarily the government. It is private sector actors. They're collating this data and are fucking us. They're absolutely playing us. They're playing us so desperately badly. And they know when they can push things. And we have to take that back. We have to suppress their ability to monitor us. The biggest thing we can do is like Dugan, what does he do? He puts his phone in a box, and the levels of things I'd have to teach a course to even get us to the point where would then begin to get away from our devices.
Well, not that, like that's his way of really disconnecting. Not even to mention like what he does, like when using his phone, he literally opens it up, disables the GPS, disables the microphone.
If it's transmitting, it's got a GPS. Sorry, there's like you can cut the microphone out in the speakers, but if it's transmitting, you're GPS tracked.
And that may be, I don't know that much about that, but he literally like to be able to talk on his phone.
Here, I just wanted to show people real quick what a YPG sticker looks like. So if you go into your local hipster coffee shop and you know where the Antifa kids like to hang out, look for this symbol. And a little yellow triangular flag with a red star. That's YPG. And that's where I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt you. Go on.
It's okay. I understand Dugan is the man you trust, and I understand that no one likes me, Light, or Sigma. When you swear away your rights for secret clearance, you are no longer judged as a human because you know the most embarrassing information of our nation. Yeah, so no. So what I was saying
We
is
haven't been talking about secret clearances, by the way, Jay-Z. Like, how does that relate to what we were talking about? I don't mean to single them out. I'm just kind of curious where that came from.
you may have been speaking with someone else in chat.
Oh, I see. Well, that might be an interesting one to riff off. Sorry, I keep interrupting you. Go finish your thoughts. Sorry.
No, you're good. No, and I appreciate that. And Dugan is who brought me here, and Dugan is who introduced me to everything that I've grown to understand over the last year. And this channel wouldn't exist if it wasn't for us three. So, when people are like, "Oh, were you going to change the name?" I mean, likely yes. And like I said in chat, it stings a little bit, but I mean, it's all love. Like, before he threw his phone in the lead box, like him and I talked for like an hour. Like, it's all good. So basically, all I was saying is that, like, for him to even use his phone, he has to plug in a headset and talk with with a mic. Like people go to a lot of lengths to do their best to, try not to be have their privacy encroached on, but still, it's almost impossible to avoid. Like right now, all of our information is available, all of our conversations are available, all of our I forgot what it was. So we did a stream literally about all the surge in mass shootings, and all the shootings and blah blah blah. And I'm on the Dark Light Dugan channel because that's what I stream from. And I don't search anything on Darklight Dugan. I don't watch anything on Darklight Dugan. If it does register that I watched anything, it's because it was playing in the feed while I was like holding my phone there. And the next recommended video was about the surge in mass shootings and the Colorado shooting and the Atlanta shooting. Like, that is exactly the type of shit that we're talking about. The mic picked it up and gave me a recommended video off of a fucking conversation that I had.
Yeah, that's happening with all of this. There's databases where it'll track nonverbal utterances like slamming doors and profile if you had a domestic dispute with your wife or whatever. But
Mhm.
but beyond that, like, look at this fellow I've got here on camera. He's got on his arm, I guess is a tattoo, die cis scum. He's got baseball bat, and this is Antifa. And notice what I led into when I first started our chat here. We're talking about the 23 children that were committed suicide out in Southern California that had been involuntarily undergoing hormone blockers and a sex change operation by their parents. And if there's this many in this one schooling area, there must be many, many more. And the refined material from that type of behavioral programming is ultimately these extremists, this irregular force. And we need to be aware that the technological elite, the people that are monitoring us, they are using their ability to passively guide and manipulate the population to assert themselves against state power, and they wish to take our rights away. We need to go to our elected officials, and we need to talk to them about this. And I think that many of them are bought out. This would be the communicative noise we should probably work on while we're
So
talking.
that
While we can still talk, we should be doing that.
that's where I disagree. And I love
You
you.
don't think we should be talking to them?
Not that we should be talking to them, that it would have the impact that we desire. I
Well,
believe.
if you don't try, you're not going to have any impact at all.
Well, I think that if we are gonna try to make an impact, that it would be similar to what they've done over the last 3 decades, which is making changes societally to make an impact, as opposed to you can make more of an impact with the many than the few leaders. I think because everyone's compromised. Everyone's compromised, even if they don't know it. They're compromised by money. If they're not, intentionally compromised by other outside factors, they're subconsciously compromised by money.
Mhm.
So I don't believe that there is a president or a political party that could ever get us out of the situation that we're in right now. That's just my
Hmm.
personal opinion.
Well, that's more of like Dugan's line, and he always has his theory on that. And I mean, I understand the corrupting influence of money, but I think you could be corrupted by too much ego. I think you could be corrupted by all sorts of things. It's not just money. We have to have some agreed upon method of exchange. It's a shame that it's pretty much run by Jews, and they seem to be definitely involved in most of my covert paramilitary destabilization efforts as of late. And nobody wants to talk about that because it's career suicide. Oh, Anton Chigurh says, please do not like the stream.
Okay. I don't know. I'm confused. So why is everyone continuously bringing up Dugan? Is it because of the conversation
Because
earlier?
Dugan's he's the charismatic frontman. He's the identifiable guy that makes the music. He's the 1/3 of the title of the show, and he's gone. And the prodigal host, if he returns, will return with a bang. You know.
I meant like in yeah, maybe quite possibly. Or I was talking
Hopefully.
about in chat. Did you mention him or
No, it kind of migrated. I'm certain that's what people are just talking about. You know, it just happens. I don't know how it began, but
I don't know.
they're probably trying to pump us for information, get the skinny on what he's up to. I'm not going to be volunteering much. I'm just going to keep on talking about whatever geopolitical bullshit kind of floats into my poor mind.
Oh, he may be saying like when I shared my thought on, you know, yeah, I see what he's saying. Okay, all right, never mind, disregard. Okay. Um. Anyway, so yeah, so
Thanks,
that
Karma's token. That's real nice of you to say.
um, yeah, we love you too, man. I mean, we're literally all in the same situation. We're all brothers. We're all sisters, and I mean, in the end, like we're all fucked. It's just a question of you know when
And
we're
also, like we should focus on that whole love aspect. So, like, if you do get a chance to talk to some of these crazy Antifa guys, like, think about it like you're Cesar Chavez, the dog whisperer. If you do have a chance to safely speak to one of them, let them talk until they're fucking tired. If you've got their attention, they want to communicate to you, sit there and listen to them, nod your head, listen, and let them eventually get quiet. And then maybe begin to chip away at their preconceptions. And if you're able and you're able to learn enough about them while you're listening, you might have a chance to turn them. And it's certainly not as powerful as the programming they underwent in their formative years. Because like what this girl was telling me, what the shit's going on in Southern California, that's mind blowing. That's brainwashing. It's definitely targeting narcissists. This is the type of thing, identifying a narcissist and profiling that could be done by an automated system. And then you know that those people are going to reliably seek the the narcissistic supply and the adulation, the admiration of being a parent of a child that is a transition person. And they don't like the rejection from being a white person or whatever it is. Predominantly, almost all wholly, the people that are engaging in this behavior right now that I've been told of, this involuntary sex change, they're white, non-Hispanics. And we need to remember that the hate setting is something that the people that are kicking this thing off, they're relying on that to be one of the other pressure systems, right? I'm not saying don't cuck out. I'm not saying cuck out and just give up your rights, roll over, but definitely let this thing breathe. Like let it de-stress when you can, because Antifa and their corporate controllers, they're using escalation of force techniques. This is a counterinsurgency type fight, and it's a lot of psychological warfare is underway here. And part of the reason that there's so much censorship is so that everyone's very confused as to who's on what side and what they actually represent. And when they don't have enough time to actually take a measure of who they're interacting with, they're going to go with whatever stereotype has been grafted onto their psyche by these corporate controllers and these media handlers, and they're going to go to that point. That's going to be that's going to be that's going to be the little cattle chute that they walk through. And we need to try and control that. And you don't want to make them behave impulsively, and you have to be very calm and try to work through it.
well. I appreciate you taking the time to come on, man. I know
You gotta have me back more often. I'm always happy to be here.
dude. I would love to bring you on.
I want to bring an industrial engineer on in the future, and then like talk about bullshit that we see all the day on TV about energy and power and different things. But yeah,
I'd love to have him look into the truth about that executive order. I can't remember the EO number, but the executive order that changed all the power plant switches to be controlled remotely. That would be really cool. I also I was out with my daughter, and I ran into one of my neighbors, and uh, hold on, he's very close to our. I want him like you want James Reeves all the time. No homo. I'm not sure I understand. Oh, well,
I
gotcha.
was reading that too. I was like, what the fuck
Yeah.
is going on there?
So I was out with my daughter, and we were going on a walk, and I bumped into one of my not like neighbors, but they're in the same community as us, like down the way. And we were hanging out, and he reached out to grab something, and I saw this scar, but it like wrapped all the way around his forearm, and I was like, oh, I never noticed that. Like, what's it from? He was like, oh, it's pigskin. It's like, what? Pigskin? What do you mean? And he was like, yeah, I had a graph. He called it something like a trick trichograph or something like something that was like pig skin. Anyway, so I started talking with him, and he was like, "Yeah, I with what I do professionally, injuries are likely." And he told me that he is an engineer for a three-letter agency, and that he works specifically with energetics, and it was a thermite accident where it like combusted instead of just burned, and it literally like cooked off the top of his arm, a lot of his face. And I mean, like you can't really tell like until you like look like really really close. But I was like, man, would you be open to coming on coming on my show? And he was like, I'd be open to it as long as you guys don't discuss anything illegal because I got to take a poly every 3 months. I was like, yeah, I mean, we generally only discuss legal things. I mean, no, we really do. Like, even when we talk about energetics and, things like that, like we obviously discuss using them legally and responsibly. But I may be able to get him on, and that would be huge, huge to get someone like that on.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that, like the spicy stuff about like warfare and things, that's great and all, but we also need to focus on the basics, like how things are produced. Do lithium batteries make sense? Does nuclear power make sense? And opportunities to talk to people about these bigger issues are important. And I think we supply our listeners with a cornucopia of terms to search and cross-reference with, and that so over time the tapestry of understanding hopefully metastasizes like a good cancer. I know we'll rise above this crushing ignorance and negativity that is hoisted upon us as we attempt to remain free and not enslaved. That's something we should most definitely focus on. And one of the best quotes from Yuri Bezmenov was, fight with your inner strength. Like the big term we're going to see from these subversives, these Antifa guys and their handlers, is going to be these Zelenskyite tactics where they try to make you into a hypocrite and try to hold you accountable to your own code while they ignore all codes except for their objective.
Yeah.
And I think that we need to transcend their narrative. Like, if you're going to talk about trannies and gender reassignment and all this unhealthy behavior, talk about it from the perspective of violation of the Hippocratic Oath. Talk about it from the perspective of the sheer wanton waste of medical resources and assets, the suicide rates that have absolutely nothing to do with bullying. It has everything to do with the fact we cannot make you into a boy if you're a girl, and vice versa. We can't do it. And the ignorance, they're relying on the fact that they're fighting downhill when they could push people towards stupidity and make them angry and humiliated. And we can't like it's very seductive to insult people, and it's very easy to make jokes. And I'm not saying we shouldn't make jokes, but use great discretion when you talk to people, and understand that if you humiliate someone or hurt them, they're going to remember it. And no one should make you not do that. If that is your choice and you wish to do that, that is your choice. No one should take that away from you. No one should put you in prison for it either. Like we should be able to shun each other if we need to. And that's something that's missing for the greater domestic dialogue. And that's something we should try to recover. And like for instance, with the Black community, I know I'm a white guy. We need to be able to look at our fellow citizens who are Blacks and go, hey, look, 30% of you are responsible for more than 50% of the crime. And that is objectively provable by statistics. We don't hate you. We've had the civil rights movements. You're able to work with us. All we ask is that you're able to do the job you sign up for. You still have your civil rights at the end of the day. If you're not able to do that job, and no one hates you. And like, you look at all these handlers, these civil rights leaders, these charlatans, these monsters pushing us towards the abyss, and they want us to hate each other. And if you look at the rise in racism in the contemporary world and the rise of transsexuality, happened after Occupy Wall Street. The power elite, the financial elite, were threatened by the unity and understanding that was facilitated by the explosion of the internet. And things like this processor that Intel's coming out with that might be removing the N-bomb from our speech passively by using some sort of artificial intelligence embedded into your processor itself, that can also remove other things too. And possibly remove all sorts of references that you don't even know are being removed to imprison us within our own minds. And we should definitely impress upon our elected officials and all of our fellow citizens that you must aggressively defend your ability to think and write. And being secure in your papers in person, the Fourth Amendment, that extends to our electronic devices and our electronic discourse. And I just hope somebody out there that's listening to shit one day is able to figure out how to preserve that, because we have to push back on these rights. I think we live in a wonderful country that is, I hope, survives this terrible disaster we're in the middle of. And I hope that, we get some actual fucking heroes out there for once, because we hadn't had one in a long goddamn time. And they like to kill them, like Kennedy. And hopefully this Trump guy, I know a lot of people don't like him. I'm a too much of an optimist. I keep hoping against hope, but yeah, whatever.
Well, it's because that's what we're programmed to do. We're that's how we're programmed, and their goal is to program us differently based on the societal bullshit that we're seeing. So Sigma, closing thoughts. I mean, I guess you may have given
You
just.
already got him. I'm done. If you're ready to kick this thing into the archive, we can just leave it there.
Here's what I'll say. Yeah, DS88 for sure. Here's what I'll say. Hold on. Every time I take a bite, it's time for me to talk. Hold on. Guess what I'm munching on, and I'll give you something off my workbench. Okay. Woo! My apologies. I know a lot of times we talk about the black pill. A lot of times we talk about shit that's dark, depressing, and scary. And we cannot and will not pump fear and just terrify people. What we want to do is share truth and our perspective, and that's it. We want you guys to be able to go do your own research, look into things, study historical, information and data, and look at how history is consistently repeating itself over and over and over. But even though a lot of times we talk about dark shit and scary things, and the best way that we can handle moving forward is being the light in the darkness and coming from a place of care, love, compassion, contribution, gratitude, giving to others, and at the same exact time preparing for preparing. That's what I'll say. I don't know where we're going to be. People were talking about the predictions for the summer. My prediction is that we, damn it, DS88, you're fucking good. I'll find something on my desk to send you. Damn, Dustin, that's kind of harsh. I think we'll have a new virus. I think it will be highly contagious, and I think it'll be highly lethal. And I think what we'll also find down the line is that the Rothschilds took out a patent on the testing for it, just like they did in 2015 for COVID-19. We have to know who's at the helm steering the ship, and we can't be fooled by all this bullshit. I think that the only direction this is going to go is with the complete and utter bifurcation of our country, which is by design. We have been separated. We have been put in two buckets, and they're going to spill over, and there's going to be conflict. I pray that there isn't, and we need to remember that on the other side of whatever you do or do not agree with, that those are still brothers, those are still sisters, and they're just people, confused people that deserve truth and deserve their perspective as well. So that's all, man. Who's deleting the comments? I'm confused. Who's deleting comments? You can only delete your own comments. I don't know if you. I'm personally, I'm literally not deleting any fucking comments. So if you guys are posting something and it's not showing up, then that means that they're being filtered by YouTube. You know what, DS, I got you. Hold on. In this world of slave coins, there's nothing better that I could give you than your very own dark slave coin. And I'll mail it to you crumpled up, just like that. The darkest Mavis at gmail.com. It's funny, the last three things I got. This is for blue light, blue sticks, a Glock 20. This is a collectible Glock 20 magazine. It's from like 1991. Okay, and there's one 40 caliber round in it, just because I have one Glock 20 mag because I don't have a Glock 20, and I have one 40 cal round because I don't have a 40. Who does, right? And you still haven't accepted that. I still got this, and now I got this. So I'm gonna keep a little pile here of stuff that the stuff that was supposed to get away. All right, y'all. That's it. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. And why you gotta be racist, Dark? DS gets stripper dollars. Redacted means deleted by the poster. Message deleted means it was deleted by a moderator. Dark is racist, aka buy a new spring. Dark's ATF agent showed up to dislike the video again. God, I always got one of them. I know.
I like that. The Dark's ATF agent showed up.
I volunteer as tribute, DS88. Bacon, you going live tonight? Oh yeah, guys. I don't know if you guys know, but the goddamn Bacon has a show, and it's pretty fucking awesome. And he's like got zero filter, and he's legit. So go check him out. Sub to his channel, and jerk him off every chance you get. Gerchop, don't join a militia or start a militia. You are one predator drone away from just becoming pink mist if you do that. Be the lone wolf. It is always best to be the lone wolf. The lone wolf can feign compliance and blend in and be the most dangerous motherfucker out there. Love y'all. Yeah, his name is the goddamn Bacon. Let me pull him up real quick. Gerchop is a fed. Dang. Dang. Here you go. Look on screen. Damn, why is everybody throwing Gerchop down like that? I'll be the pink mist. Join my. Hey.
I have to say, I'm all for collective organization. Lone wolves. If you want to do that. But it's always important to bind with your fellow and work together towards a collective goal.
Yeah, I think it just creates a larger target. And
if you do your job good enough, you'll convert anybody that infiltrates you, assuming they're not complete fucking monsters.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. That everyone has the ability to be, converted and change your thinking. But I will say, you can still have a large organization and not all be in one place at all at the same time. After party on the Discord, I'll hop on there for a few minutes. I'll be in voice chat.
I'll talk to whoever comes in at Discord. I'll hang out. It's not like I got anything better to do, boys. I don't have to file any reports to Langley until tomorrow.
Yeah, my daughter's not here tonight, so I'm chilling. So, if now is when they choose to kick my door in, then it'd be a good time. So, all right, y'all. Love y'all. Y'all have a good night.
Good night.
Later, y'all. Blue glowies all day. Peace, y'all. Oh, and be safe and be dangerous. Later, y'all.